Are you ready for this?
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Outlet Podcast. I'm your host, Lindsey Smith, and this week our guest is Bret Buchard. And Bret, you have been a part of the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury organization for quite some time.
Yeah.
But currently, you are the head coach for the NAZ Suns in Prescott.
Yeah.
And this is your second year as the head coach over there. So let's go back a little bit and get some behind the scenes in your journey. Because you started in basketball communications for the Mercury.
Right.
So kind of how did you work your way up to head coach of the NAZ Suns?
Good question. It's been a journey. I guess 9 years. This will be my 10th season with the organization. And actually in 2008 was just an intern, like a summer intern for the Phoenix Mercury.
Okay.
And then went back to Indiana and did some coaching and then came back to be part of this communication staff. And then just as changes happened within the organization, and I built relationships across a lot of different areas in the organization and expressed my goals and desires. And the Suns have been really great to me about giving me opportunities to keep growing and pursue things that I was interested in and career paths that I wanted to go after. And so they just keep giving me new opportunities, which has been awesome.
Yeah, and then you also come from a coaching family.
Yeah.
So did you always know that you wanted to be a coach?
Yeah, it's in the blood. I was raised in it. My dad was a college coach in Missouri for 31 years and just retired. And so I grew up in the gym, going to practices. After school every day, I'd walk across the street to the gym and do my homework on the sideline while he's coaching his guys. So I grew up in it. Mom tried to discourage me from it.
Why?
Well, Dad was very successful. He was in the Hall of Fame, and he's like one of the all-time winningest coaches in college basketball history. And so she kept telling me I've only seen the good parts, the successful parts. And so when I came to Phoenix, it was actually to be in the communications department, thinking, all right, I'll probably find a career path close to basketball, but outside of coaching. And then I did it for 3 years and just... It's in the blood.
I just want to
coach.
Yeah,
it's in the blood. I couldn't get away from it.
Okay, so like we said, it's your second season as the head coach for the NAZ Suns. And in that time, that was when it transitioned from the D League to the G League.
Yeah.
And it's really had a lot of emphasis on it in the last couple of years as really helping players develop for the actual NBA franchises. So how have you seen that kind of change in terms of how the Suns are utilizing the NAZ Suns and just the league as a whole?
Yeah, the league has grown so much. Just since I was an assistant there, been 3 seasons ago now, and head coach now for 2. It's just in that 4-year time span has been, the league has grown a lot, especially in how NBA teams are using it. The 2-way contracts have made a big difference with the talent pool in the G League, and then also the guys going back and forth between NBA and G League, and it actually those guys playing NBA minutes and need to be ready to play NBA minutes, and they're utilized. And then assignment guys, I think more and more players are being assigned, young players that are developing. So it's been great to see. And then from a coaching standpoint, coaches every year are getting called up to NBA benches, and so it's becoming a more true minor league system, which is a good thing. Yeah.
And so is that the end goal for you then, NBA coach down the road?
I think so. I really like being the head coach in the G League. It's fun to kind of run your own program, also be an extension of the NBA staff. Development is kind of my heart. It's, helping young guys grow and improve, not just basketball, but off the court too. So it's a good fit for me right now. We'll see where it takes me, but I like what I'm doing.
Well, we're going to definitely keep an eye out. Okay, so I want to kind of ask how you work directly with the Phoenix Suns coaching staff in terms of developing these guys and maybe the 2-way players or guys who get sent down to the G League for a couple weeks just to work on something. But before we do that, we have to talk about the fact that we have a new coaching staff and a new front office, a lot of new faces in the front office. you got to experience a lot of that at Summer League because you were on that coaching staff.
Yep.
So what have you seen so far from these new faces, and what are you excited about for the upcoming season? It's
been great. The new staff has been really good. Everybody coming in, it's obvious that there's tight relationships amongst all of them already, which has been good. And then I'm meeting them all for the first time this year, and have been able to mix right in with the group, which is really cool from a G League perspective, is to feel like you're so ingrained in the Phoenix coaching staff, because there's a lot of communication that has to happen back and forth, and I need to be an extension of them in the G League. So that's been really, really good to spend time with them this summer. Monty has been great, just comes with really strong core values, which I think is something we need, and I think he'll really help our team and our organization with that. So excited to have him. And then, all the guys on staff have played for the most part somewhere along the way, and so it's fun to see even guys like Steve Blake, who I was actually at the 2002 Final Four when he won the championship.
Oh, really?
And so it's
Is
fun
that
to
weird
see.
for you then
It's
sometimes?
cool.
Like
it's
when
like,
you just met him, you're like, wait, no, but I've actually been a fan of yours for a
yeah,
while.
it's cool. You try not to be like gushy fan. Like now we're colleagues and friends, and so. But it's fun to get to know him and see the person behind the player that I watched play for a long time. So
That's
it's
fun.
cool.
Okay, so now let's go back to that original question. Have you had the conversations with Monty or James or whoever about how the communication between both sets of coaching staffs are going to work?
Yeah. I'm an extension of the Phoenix staff, and I have to be. If they assign players or if they call up any of our players, it has to be a smooth transition for them to be able to jump right in and play. Obviously, we won't get as sophisticated maybe in like our schemes and our plays and that kind of thing in the G League. But from a development perspective, skill development, understanding how to play, reads on the court, even just like learning how to compete at a high level for 3-4 games a week, which might be a heavier load than some guys have played before. All those kind of things, we are responsible for preparing them when they come to Phoenix. And so if a guy shows up, on a Tuesday night to play in a Phoenix Suns game, he can't be like, I don't know what's going on. He's got to have a little bit of familiarity with plays and system and expectations. And so, I spend all summer with the Phoenix staff and then all training camp and preseason and try to mimic as much as I can what they're doing in Phoenix.
Yeah, so you have a good idea and you work closely with them in terms of like the same ideas and goals.
Yeah, exactly.
That the whole team and whole organization are trying
Yeah, the culture has to be an extension. We're going to be really, in Phoenix, it's going to be really strong on, competing and defense and sharing the ball and being on time every day. And like all those things have to be core pillars for what we do in Prescott Valley.
Is that something that has changed in recent years, or do you feel like that's kind of been a consistent thing in the G League?
Well, it's just something I really believe in, and for a G League system to be successful and be valuable for the NBA program, it needs to be done that way. And so for as long as I've been head coach, that's how I intend to do it and expect to do it. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to Summer League.
Yeah.
Because you were on the coaching staff there, so you got to see a lot of these guys up close, and there's a potential that you'll see a lot of them this season as well. So let's talk about some of the guys that maybe stood out to you off of that Summer League roster. We'll start with an easy one in Eli Cobo because this is his second Summer League game. So you've seen him quite a bit through last season too, having spent a little time with him up in NAZ as well.
Yeah, I've got to spend a lot of time with Eli, in NAZ and then just in summer workouts and preseason stuff. It's fun to see a guy over a course of 2 years rather than maybe just one and not. But to see him grow and just over the course of his second summer, he's familiar with what's happening. He's the routine is familiar, and so then he can take on more of a leadership role just in something like Summer League, which is a great training ground and opportunity for him to, all right, you're going to be a point guard and you're going to have to lead a team and you're going to have to be vocal in practices. And he really did. He really where last year maybe he came to the side and was like, Coach, shouldn't we be doing this? And I'd be like, yeah, tell your team that. And this year he did it. Like in the middle of practice, he'd stop a drill or interject his voice. And so it's cool to see him grow as a leader and a point guard in that way.
Which I think is something kind of neat, because we always joke about it, like you're the veteran on this team and you're second-year player.
Yeah, right,
you know what I mean? Like
right.
There's always that joke around Summer League of like you're being the veteran now, but you're only in your sophomore season. But you don't get that experience as much during an actual NBA season because you have those 6, 7, 10-year guys on your team.
Exactly.
So it is really important at Summer League to kind of like just jump right in and get your feet wet on that.
For sure.
So how do you see most guys reacting to that? Are most guys into it? Does it take some time?
Yeah, I think it's different for every guy, of course. But Ellie really embraced it and took that on. And you can see just with a guy like Jalen LeCue, who we signed this year and played Summer League, and a young rookie and his first experience and a little wide-eyed. And so Ellie can kind of take him on and say, hey, I was in your shoes last year. And that's all leadership is. It's who's the guy that's coming up right behind you. Can you help him and share your experiences with him? And so it's cool to see that interaction this summer.
Who are some of the other guys that sort of stood out to you or that you're looking forward to seeing their growth throughout their NBA careers?
Well, Jalen had a good summer. It was a fun moment for him to hit those free throws to win the game. You like a guy to have that kind of moment and success early on. Just it can be a good omen, I guess, for his future growth and confidence. Of it
and you're like, okay, I want more of this.
Yeah, exactly. So he's shown to be a really thirsty learner. Asks us a lot of questions. I sent him home with projects at night, journal entries and quizzes, and he came back and aced every test. So
wait, I need more information. What are these? What are these journals and quizzes about?
Yeah, well, I do quizzes, especially with him as a guard. He's trying to be a point guard, shooting guard, and a lead guard. So just quizzed him on the plays. I sent him home with play diagrams, and he had to come back and draw up all our plays. And then we do journal entries for just to cement what he's learning every day. So we don't just go home and forget about it, but we go home and we reflect and think about what was hard, what was easy, what did I learn, what can I do better tomorrow, things like that.
Homework.
Yeah,
basically.
Some homework. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, true development, right?
Have you always done that? I didn't know that you did that.
Yeah, it's something I try to work into the development with our young players. Like to use it in the G League because we have a lot of free time there.
Right, because the schedule is not as demanding.
Yeah, and the guys don't have families and stuff to do at home. Yeah. So, so try to just keep challenging their minds and keep them focused and hopefully accelerate the learning process. If we only get them for 5-6 months, how can we make the most of that time?
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like that. That's neat. Anybody else that you're kind of excited about from Summer League?
Yeah, I think, several guys. It was fun to see Retin Obasanjan play. He played in the G League with us last year. So to see the progress he's made, I think he had a good Summer League. A guy like David Kramer can shoot the ball really well. David was a fun part of our team because anytime we got stagnant, he got in there and got the ball movement, and he moved, and obviously with his shooting ability brings an element to the court that helps. But he was just a really unselfish player and a good worker. Like, he was the one guy, we had a training camp leading up to Summer League, and we were doing 2-a-days and trying to kick guys out of the gym to save their legs, and we couldn't get them out of the gym.
Listen, if your New Year's resolution was to quit smoking tobacco and you're still using tobacco today and it's June, you should check out ashline.org because using a quit coach will help your chances of successfully quitting tobacco go way up. So seriously, ashline.org, check it out today if you want to quit using tobacco.
The other guy that had a really good Summer League was Jared Harper, and just a really talented point guard, playmaker, getting in the paint, and another guy I challenged during our training camp where I've seen him play a couple times and he was kind of quiet on the floor, and so challenged him to be more vocal, and then he would start controlling the whole game defensively just with his mouth, telling guys where he was, how he could help. And then we threw him in the game in Summer League, and he really controlled things for us offensively, getting good shots and getting people in the right places. So, he had a good week as well.
Okay, so the last thing I have to ask you about Summer League, the earthquake.
Yeah.
I can't believe I almost forgot about the earthquake.
The earthquake.
What was that like for you? Because I was sitting in the tunnel and I had no idea what was happening. It was just kind of like, am I dehydrated?
Yeah.
Like, are we moving?
Yeah.
Or is this in my head? So
we
what
all
was
felt
it like
the same
for you?
thing. So I'm from the Midwest and grew up with tornadoes,
Okay.
flooding, that kind of stuff. Never felt an earthquake before. We were actually in the bowels of the arena getting ready for the game.
Yeah, because it was right before our game.
Yeah, right before our game. And Coach was actually giving the pregame talk. And I'm standing there just listening. All of a sudden, I'm feeling like lightheaded.
Yes.
Like, I haven't been sick all week. Why am I feeling this now? It's just weird. And then realized everyone else was feeling the same thing. And then pregame talk was over after that.
Yeah,
Lost
absolutely.
all concentration. But
that was such a unique experience because I'm kind of with you. I grew up in Arizona. So I think I felt one we had 5 years ago that from up north that you kind of felt. But that was insane.
Yeah.
It was literally like you were on a boat and you're just like, what's going on?
I feel fortunate we were underneath the arena, so pretty sturdy place.
True.
But the thrill seeker in me wanted to be in the upper deck and just see what it felt like on the 35th floor of the wind and see what it felt like to be swaying.
I didn't even think about that because other people from the NBA that I know, different reporters or social media folks or whatever, were we were in our hotel rooms and it was the whole hotel was swaying, which is kind of crazy.
Crazy.
But I did feel that a little bit in Chicago, one of the hotels we stayed at a couple of seasons ago, because obviously the wind, you could feel it move a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little eerie, but I feel like the earthquake was definitely a little bit crazier.
Can mark it off the list. I felt an earthquake.
Bucket list check.
That's enough for me.
I didn't know it was on my bucket list, but I'm going to add it on just to cross it off.
You can check it off.
Hey, if you're smoking a cigarette right now while you're listening to my podcast, I need you to put it out and visit ashline.org because you've got to stop smoking or using tobacco. Plus, it's so much better for your health. Just do it. ashline.org. Very cool. All right. Well, so one last thing I want to talk to you about is just kind of the person behind the face and the coach. Yeah. You've written a book, have you not?
I've written 4 books.
4 books. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I thought it was just one.
Yeah.
What are all 4 of these books about? Tell me the titles and where we can read them and
so I've written them.
Process.
Written them with a guy I met named Chris McAllister. We met in 2011, actually during the NBA lockout. And spent a lot of time together working on mindset training. Mm-hmm. And he does it mainly for organizations, leaders, entrepreneurs, startup businesses. And then I take his work and communicate it to athletes and coaches. So it's work we use in the G League and some of our development guys, just about mindset training and helping them stay focused on what's important and remove distractions and relax under pressure. And so...
So did the homework come from him or you?
No, the homework came from me. But I learned a lot from him. And so, it's been a fun process. Writing a book is really hard.
I bet.
But it's cool. Most people say, I'm going to write a book someday, and now I've done it. So it's
4
cool.
times.
4 times, and got a couple in the pipeline when I get some free time.
Okay, very
nice. Hopefully
Are they
we'll
all
send out.
on Audible, Amazon, all that kind of stuff?
Amazon.com, we'll have them. Chris McAllister will show up as the lead author, and then I'm the co-author.
One of these days we'll have to switch those. Yeah. The one's down the pipeline, right?
Yeah.
You'll be the lead author, and he can be the co-author.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Brett. I really appreciate you taking some time.
Thank you.